So this is the volume. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for coming. For all the students who are here, thank you as well for coming. We appreciate you coming to our curriculum awareness night. The purpose of tonight is to kind of talk about the registration process and what it'll look like as we transition from middle to high school. So we are going to talk a little bit about the course offerings. We have a collection of our teachers here that have an understanding of the 9th grade course offerings available for you, and they will be able to answer those questions. They'll answer kind of the ones that we've been asked year over year, and then they'll have an opportunity, if you have specific questions, to be able to ask them after tonight is over. My name is Tim Hoffman. I am the principal at the high school, and allow some people that are here to introduce themselves.
I've been here since the buildings broke ground. That's over 15 years now. Both my children graduated from Pine Lake. Super happy you're here. Thank you for coming out, and you guys are going to love the upper school.
That's helpful. That's hooked up to the
Online people.
Hi, everybody. My name is Amanda Dworsky. I'm one of the 3 school counselors here at Pine Lake. We divide up our student caseload 3 ways by alphabet. And so when you are assigned a school counselor, we're with your child for the next 4 years. And so what we find is that we're able to better build that relationship with students over time. And so I work with students specifically with the last names A through HE.
Hi, everyone. My name is Amanda Rhoda. I work with students HI through PA.
And I am Dana Catchpole, and I work with students last names PE through Z, so the end of the alphabet.
Pass this over to them.
No, they can
Oh. Do you want me to start?
Okay, I'm going to start. That was the passing of the mic. Oh, you guys. I am not going to start. I'm going to pause. We're trying to video families and audio tape. That would help too for families that could not be here this evening. So how do you know it wasn't working? Did you think you'd hear it in this room?
that microphone.
Oh, slight communication confusion. It is working. Okay, there we go.
You need to talk louder.
Oh, I can do that. I can absolutely do that. Okay, everyone, welcome. And I don't need a microphone. So we want to talk about the typical day at the high school. Little difference in start time. It's a bit earlier. You want to arrive at 7:15 a.m. for a 7:25 first period start. And then the end of the day is at 2:25 p.m. Study hall is something that's new to the high school that you do not have in the middle school. And so with freshman year specifically, we recommend one study hall to students. And you will see by the time you go through this whole presentation that your schedule is a pretty busy and filled out day. And so depending on what your extracurriculars are, that's something you might want to consider. Homework in the upper school specifically. If you guys calculate out, let's go with 6. Let's go with 6 periods a day, 15 minutes each period. 6 times 15 is, help me out here. Okay, 1.5 to 2 hours of homework every night. If you take 15 minutes per class. Okay, so that's what you should expect in the upper school for homework. Can I get a yay? Okay. You want to talk about that? Or you? Good.
Mini mic again. So yes, yesterday we had the opportunity to go into the 8th grade classes, and I see many of you have copies of orange sheets. If you do not have an orange sheet, you're not supposed to, because that means your kid had brought one home to you and it's in their folder. We really kind of tried to instill the.
the orange sheet last night?
Was anybody? Oh, okay, okay.
It's awesome. Okay.
Were any families or students, I should say, excited by what they heard yesterday, or at least give you a nod that something happened? Okay, good. We'll take that as a feedback. So we did get to go in. We talked a little bit about what a typical day looks like, what's the difference between college prep and honors, and what they can expect coming into the high school experience. We told them they will have about 2 weeks to make those decisions about what's going to be the right fit for them. And we told them to look around and not pay attention to what their neighbor is choosing, because this is their journey, this is their pathway. And what's important as far as what their neighbor is choosing is not exactly what might be the best fit for them. So we really do encourage them to look at the big picture, look at all the things that they have going on outside of school, and take that into consideration when making these decisions. We also talked about the rigor up over each of the years, and how, as you get closer to that senior year, we do offer the 2 study halls because it is expected to be the most challenging year as you head into your final year of high school. In 2 weeks, we'll be pulling your student into the counseling center one-on-one with each of the counselors to look at those course registration sheets. So we really said, don't lose those orange sheets. We want you to keep them. We want you to bring them in with you. We called them their registration ticket. And so we'll be pulling them out of their English class and sitting with them side by side while we make those selections. We do this to ensure that they are not only choosing the correct thing so that there's not errors in the process, but it's also the start of the relationship building process. And so we get to know them a little bit informally, and we can kind of get them into the high school building so that they're a little bit more comfortable making that transition in at the start of the fall.
So one of the differences, obviously, at the high school is there are set graduation requirements that are required by the state. So it doesn't matter if you're at Pine Lake, at Huff, at Mooresville, or like Norman, all of those graduation requirements are the same. So we do follow the state requirements for graduation. And in addition, we have a couple local Pine Lake graduation. The first thing is the value that we get out of volunteering. And we realize that one of the factors that helps our students apply to the colleges of their dreams, where they want to go, is that ability to engage in the community. And so all of our students are required to do 40 hours of community service a year. And at the beginning of the school year, we will walk them through how they log those hours, how they reflect upon those hours. And really the goal with those community service hours is for them to start to find how they enjoy being a part of the greater community, because colleges aren't simply looking for students to come, show up to class, and go back to their dorm room, but they're looking for those students that'll make their college better. So we really value that graduation or that service opportunity that we provide to the students. So that ends up being at least 160 hours over their 4 years. And we have students that go well and beyond that each year. Another thing that we have is in our senior year is all of our students will do an ethics-based course, and they will also complete a graduation requirement that will ask them to identify a local problem, learn a new skill, and then learn how to read and ensure that they can effectively communicate that both verbally and written. We got someone there. And then the last thing, a question that people ask is about foreign language. We only offer Spanish, and we have students that can do Spanish 1 and 2 in the middle school, which is pretty amazing. So we have the ability to take our students through Spanish 3, 4, 5, 6, and then also the AP courses. So when our teachers talk, you'll hear a little bit more about the graduation requirements per each subject, including the various Spanish offerings that we have. Anything? Online.
The second piece that your child was given yesterday is a copy of what we call our degree checklist. And so this just reiterates what's going to be expected of them by the time that they graduate. We talked about each year, as in the counseling center, we keep a copy of this and we run a degree audit on them to make sure that they're making forward progress towards all of the expectations. we ask them to flip it over, and it's a copy of a 4-year plan. And one of the big things that we tried to reiterate is that we don't expect them to be able to fill out that junior and senior year right now, right? That's how do you know you want to take AP chemistry before you've had a chance to take chemistry? So we've always encouraged them to complete it in pencil. And we really looked at saying, okay, focus on this year and really be reflective of when you take this in your freshman year, what do I want to take more of? Do I want to rigor up? Do I need to take a step back? What do I want to go deeper into? And so some of them are going to be a little bit fixed. So we filled in some of the boxes for them. But we try not to get too far down the path, but rather just focus kind of in chunks, the first, the second, and then when we meet in sophomore planning meetings, we plan out junior and senior year together.
So one of the things that you're going to hear about for those of you that are welcoming or we're welcoming your first high school student is a grade point average. And that kind of keeps track and follows the students over all 4 years. And what we tell the students all the time is it's really easy to move that grade point average freshman, sophomore year, and it becomes more and more difficult to move that number junior, senior year. As you get more and more classes, it's simply harder to move that number. So it's really, really important that students select the right classes for them to be the most successful. If they try and rigor up and do classes that are way too hard, then it might negatively impact whether it's their social life, their personal life. They may not be able to play a sport. We really are going to talk about balance and trying to recognize that you all got course registration sheets today, but those 8th grade teachers made those recommendations in a silo. Essentially, they don't know that you are recommended for honors math, also honors English, and you also want to be in sport, and you also want to have a job, and you also take care of your siblings, and that's what ends up happening. And I think that one of the counselors said earlier that that's what happens is we get into competition and we start picking classes because our friends did. Well, I need to do this because my friend took it, or I need to do this because my mom did, or my dad did, or my brother or sister did. And what we try to tell the students over and over and over again, this is your journey. So you're going to hear about the various courses in the different disciplines. But the main thing to realize with respect to honors and college prep, for almost all of our classes, there's those 2 different options, and you'll hear about the difference from the teacher with respect to a grade point average. And honors gets a student an additional half a point. So A is a 4.0, and honors A would be weighted up to a 4.5. An AP class is an additional 1 point. So that means an A as a 4.0 would rigor up to a 5.0. But we always try to remind the students, unfortunately, an F is a 0, whether it's honors, college prep, there is no 0.1 if you get an F. So again, it's going to look great, and I'm going to do honors and AP, and I'm going to do all of this stuff. But again, it comes with balance. How do you want to work? Do you want to have a social life? Do you want to play sports? There's more to the high school experience than filling 8 single classes a day with all honors and APs. So we will say that over and over again, but it's important to be reiterated that we want to make sure that our students get balance and really, really get themselves started on the right pathway. And if they're on the right pathway, they'll be successful. It's no different than hiking a mountain. If you try and hike Mount Everest your first time, you're going to struggle and it's going to be hard. But if you slowly build up to it, then you can be successful. So it's really about getting on the right path. So we are going to pass it to our teachers, allow them to introduce themselves and kind of talk about the course offerings for our freshmen, starting with our math teachers.
I'm good. Hello, I'm Bill Mazzano, and this is Paige Morgan. We represent 2/5 of the math department in the high school. All the freshmen incoming will have either myself or Miss Morgan. Some of you will be taking Math 3, the few that are in Math 2 right now, and then the rest will be taking Math 1 or Math 2. The ones that we want to talk about real quick is the Math 2 students, because you have 2 options, the college prep or the honors. The honors is much more rigorous, much more faster pace. So I want you to just carefully consider before you make that final decision, whether you go to the honors or the college prep. To be honest, we do have students that are struggling right now in the honors. So just be aware of the faster pace and the rigor. The college prep class gets a lot more support, access to calculators and things like that. So, all right, but we'd be happy to talk to you guys if you got questions. Thank you. Oh my goodness. I know I brought it up real quick. Hold on. Oh my goodness.
One thing that you'll notice on the orange sheet is that not to college prep listed. If your student was recommended for that personalized communication or equipment together, all they're going to need to do is write that in and follow the recommendation that they received from our school. So, again, we sit with them, we register one-on-one. So if they were recommended for that college prep math 2, we can register at that point. You just won't see it on the orange sheet.
Science. Okay, I'm Allison Field. I am one of our science teachers. I teach biology and AP bio. Science is probably the least linear path at the high school because in the English and math courses, we go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Science is a little bit more of a web. And so there are some choices that need to be made. Options freshman year are earth and environmental science, which from a rigor perspective is probably not quite as challenging or fast moving as biology is. In part because biology is a state tested subject and we don't have much of a choice about the pace of that content delivery. It is a difficult course, lots of application. As the biology teacher who has also taught earth science in the past, the biology student has to be academically motivated and organized and capable of application of material. Because we model our assessments and we use some of the same authors that write our state exams, the questions are not memorization. Rather, students, I would say, if you study based on Quizlet alone, that is not enough of a study strategy to successfully be where you want to be in biology. Because Quizlet is as memorization of vocabulary, sort of isolated vocabulary. And in biology, we expect them to take several terms and make the connections and then apply to something in the real world. So there is a difference between the two courses. Neither one is super easy. So I'm not saying biology is hard and earth science isn't. You'll have to work in both classes. But both of them are graduation requirements. So the track is either earth and environmental science as a freshman, and then coming to biology sophomore year, or taking biology as a freshman. The biology offered to freshmen is only the honors level. There is no biology standard for freshmen. And so those students would go into chemistry and potentially take AP environmental science sophomore, junior year. So it kind of opens up the path a little bit sooner. But I'll be here if you have questions. I think I said everything I'm supposed to say. That's it. Who's next? Who wants this tiny mic?
You can have tiny mic. I can take the tiny
We're
mic.
so loud. Okay. No, we project. All right, project away.
But I don't want to blow the people on Zoom away. That's what I'm worried about. Good evening. I'm Jen Douglas. I teach English 1, college prep, and honors. And this is Meredith Miller. She teaches English 1 honors only. We are 2 of 6 in the English department. And I kind of just going to echo what everybody else has said is the difference between the two. The standards for college prep and for honors are exactly the same. With honors, the pace is definitely quicker. We go into depth in honors as opposed to college prep with certain things. The amount of reading that kids are required to do is definitely greater in honors. Like Bill said, with math, you get a lot more support in college prep, and we can expect to tweak and make adjustments as needed. With honors, the expectation is that we move along rather quickly. That's not to say we won't help you if you're struggling in an honors class, but the ideal honors candidate is someone who actually enjoys reading, which is rare these days, unfortunately, but that's the truth. Someone whose writing skills are firmly in place as an 8th grade. If you struggle with reading, if you struggle with writing, then honors is probably not the best course. Either way, there is no EOC for English, which is kind of nice. We don't have that pressure. What else?
I know we've all said it and Dr. Hoffman hit it as a highlight, but the teacher recommendations that you receive from your, the teacher recommendations
sorry guys, that you receive from your 8th grade teachers are incredibly important. I would much rather you come into a college prep 9th grade English class feeling confident and grow that confidence and then recommend you for honors in 10th grade than you say, well, I'm just going to give honors a try. It's a different ballgame. The rigor is absolutely intense. The expectation for what you do outside of class and the grace that's given while we are still gracious, it's different because you made a choice. And so we want you to be there, but we also want you to think about, well, what else do I have going on? So that's what I would say.
Should we give an example of reading?
No.
No? Okay. All right. We're going to be done.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
Actually, this kind of exemplifies exactly what we're talking about. So you can see that the list for college prep is different from the list for honors. And sometimes in honors, you'll have an independent read. The whole class will be reading the same thing.
Correct. These
no,
titles change. These don't go by the books. Don't do it.
Oh, no. Yeah, it's just to show the difference, in expectations between the two. So kids in college prep might struggle to read the whole class novel that we've got going on. Whereas in honors, the expectation is that you're able to participate in the whole class novel as well as do the independent reading piece and then come together as a group once or twice a week and tackle that as well. So yeah, that's actually a good illustration, not necessarily of what we do, but of the difference between the coursework.
But for the students who are here, do you see that there's no I ready? You're welcome. Yes. Don't bring that next year. Who's next? Oh, and I'm the yearbook advisor. If you want to talk about yearbook, it is a fine arts option. And so wherever we are to talk about English, I can talk to you about yearbook as well. That's a shameless plug. It's fine.
Hi, buenas tardes. I am Lori Sepulveda and I teach Spanish 1, 2, and 3.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Garcia and I teach 3 honors, 5 honors, and Spanish 4.
And we are 2/3 of the Spanish department. Did I simplify it? I did. I think. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So we wanted to talk to you tonight about your Spanish journey in the high school. In the high school, you'll take at least 2 years of Spanish courses. And if you've taken Spanish 1A, Spanish 1B, and Spanish 2 in the middle school, all 3 years, then you're probably ready to take Spanish 3 standard or honors, depending on your teacher recommendation. Okay. And like English, we really recommend that you follow that teacher recommendation to take the Spanish that's recommended for you. People acquire languages at different rates, and maybe it takes you a little longer to acquire a language. So give yourself the time, give yourself Spanish 3 standard, which is a slower paced course. There's less writing involved, etc. Whereas Spanish 3 honors is a faster course with more writing and more focus on AP themes. Also, if you've only taken Spanish for 1 or 2 years in the middle school, then we have Spanish 1 or Spanish 2 for you. So depending on if you started at Pine Lake later, we have courses that are available for you as well. If you are a heritage speaker or a native speaker, we can also help you to find the right course for you in upper school so that you are in a course with appropriate rigor. So if we are going to be upstairs in room 209 afterwards, so if you would like to talk to Ms. Garcia or myself, we'll be available for you, and we have a list of FAQs for you. Oh, one other thing I wanted to say is depending on, we get this question a lot, depending on how competitive the colleges that your child is planning to attend, that will probably dictate the amount of Spanish you'll want to take in the high school. If you are applying to a very competitive UNC Chapel Hill, et cetera, you're going to want to plan to take Spanish all 4 years in high school, because that is really going to put you up there in terms of competitiveness. You're going to want to probably take AP your senior year. Okay. Anything else, Ms. Garcia? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Wrote all that. That's a lot. It's like a thesis.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ms. Elmquist, and I teach freshmen. So I'm going to have most of you next year. And your choices for next year are world history, or world history. You just get to choose what track you take. I'd also like to introduce Mr. Hubacher here. He's going to say some quick words and then I'll explain those three choices of world history.
I am Mr. Hubacher. I teach mostly seniors, so I'm not really sure why I'm here tonight, but I can help answer some of your questions later on in the room because Ms. Almquist has the real answers.
He's pretty wise, so he knows some stuff too. Okay, so when it comes down to world history, I think the first big question is to AP or to not AP. And I will lean on Mr. Lecker's recommendation for this. I think the English department said this also. The recommendations from your 8th grade teacher right now are really the best thing because I do not have a crystal ball. And I do not know your child or you students. And so Mr. Lecker can make the best determination based on communication he and I have throughout the year. What are the best skills for these students? How can we place them in the best place? And that is because the AP class is a really big decision. Taking an AP class as a freshman is a big deal because you only have two chances or two options, really, I should say, to take an AP as a freshman, the other being with the computer science class. And then Mr. Ebenho teaches like an AP leveled class with engineering. And so in AP World History, you are taking a college level class as a 9th grader, and that's huge. So please don't take that choice lightly or make that choice lightly. Really think about all the things that Dr. Hoffman was mentioning earlier when you think of your whole schedule next year. The biggest difference you'll see here is the out of classroom responsibility. Out of classroom for the AP class is going to be mighty. Most of what the students have to do is outside of the class. The majority of the work is on them because it is a college level class. And so we're looking at honestly, 5 to 6 hours a week. What Mrs. Reuter quoted earlier was an average, I think, just a general for all courses combined. I have students who like to work on that about 45 minutes to an hour a night. And I have other students who don't have any time during the week and they dedicate one day a weekend or one part of the day or something and they sit down. So it's not like it has to be just broken up and you have to figure out a lot of it is independent learning. How are you going to learn best? So there's just a lot to the AP class. The other part of it that I should mention that no one else has mentioned is that there's an AP exam at the end of the year. And it's a Burley exam. It sits for the students will sit and take a 3.5-hour exam. It's like all the other APs, but we offer it to freshmen. So really please do make that decision. If you've opted out of the AP at this point, if I scared you away, sorry. But if you opted out of that, then your choices here are honors or standard. And I would say the difference between the honors and the standard classes really also come down to about the time outside of class, dedicated homework, about 1 to 2 hours for honors, and only really a little bit of outside work for standard, to be fair. There's a pretty big drop off there. We can pretty much take care of most things in class for standard world history. And it's a requirement, so you just pick one. Is there anything I missed? Okay, I got it all. So world history, world history, world history. I can't wait to see what you choose. Thanks so much.
Before we go on to the next subject, I just clarify 2 things or make one comment, clarify. Standard and college prep, those 2 words are interchangeable. A lot of the other schools in the area use the word standard. We use the word college prep here because the course is still preparing all of your children for college. And so just want to clarify that for you. And you'll hear this again as you guys go through sophomore year, junior year, senior year, but I'm going to say this as a previous AP teacher. Do not take an AP course if you do not like that content area. If that's not something you're interested in, because all you're setting yourself up for is a year of torture. And so don't do that. No. I taught AP Bio and I had students that did not like biology and AP Bio. They were tortured. I'll say that. Okay. Yeah. Wasn't because of me.
Now that you've been scared with all the requirements, Mr. Like and I get to talk about the fun stuff, which is your electives. As a parent here, I think that we're so super blessed. I can't wait for all of my personal children to have all of these teachers. We have amazing academic rigor here, but we also have really amazing elective choices between our engineering, our computer science, our fine arts, our music, our drama, our dance, everything. You get a really well-rounded education, and I hope that you take advantage of it. You are required to take a minimum of 2 years of fine arts if you are also doing a track that is either engineering or computer science where you do a project based. If not, you take 4 years. Do we have kids that take all 4 years of fine arts? Absolutely. And a lot of those kids are the most successful when they go on to apply to their colleges. It just shows a well-rounded individual, and you'd be amazed at what these kids can do when they do stay in their fine art all the way through senior year. I teach the orchestra program. We also offer chorus and theater. And Mr. Leica is going to talk about our visual arts. And this year we have dance, which maybe some of you haven't been aware of. We can talk a little bit more about the choices if you want to come talk to us about how they change, particularly theater changes a little bit. If you've been in the theater track for 3 years, you've got some more options, but we can talk to you individually because your kids got to hear all about the choices when we came around to the classrooms yesterday.
I agree with everything that Miss Bassett just said. I mean, I cannot express it. I mean, I just want to shout because it's so exciting, but I'm going to be in control. I'm not going to shout in the microphone. The one thing I will say is everything that you're doing, your students are doing in the classroom, they're also learning stuff for the other courses, like the arts tie into Mr. Ebenho's classes or Miss Riley's classes. It's an intertwining thing because when you go to college, it's not just working on one subject, it's taking the subject or all the subjects and combine them into one. And that's what those major universities or colleges look for. How can you be successful in harmonizing them all together and knowing the different things, such as the physics or the way things work. So excellent. And we can talk about those details later on if you want to, but thank you.
Yep. Engineering.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. I'm Mr. Ebenho. I'm one of the engineering teachers at the upper school. It's myself and Mr. Walker. And we alternate. I've got freshmen and juniors, first and third year. He's got second and fourth year, leading to that capstone that they do for their graduation requirement. But as the freshman engineering teacher, it is 3D design. This is why you only have to take 2 years of arts. Hopefully you take all 4 years, but a lot of art focus from sketching and drafting, getting onto Fusion 360, doing 3D design and 3D printing, so on and so forth. Nuts and bolts and mechanical, that's going to be second year, third year's aerospace that I teach. And then the fourth year is doing everything combined and doing like a Shark Tank at the end of the year. The curriculum is through Project Lead the Way. That's the same thing that Miss Hoke does down in the lower school and Mr. Chappell does in the middle school, which is awesome. So the 3 years in high school are the exact same 3 that Mr. Chappell just did in middle school, but we have it year long and we go way in depth and have a lot more fun. So, oh, great question. Absolutely not. If you think about it, you have to be at this. I have to teach the kid that also is brand new to Pine Lake as well. So I've got students that are new. I've got students that never took Mr. Chappell. I've got students that are in Math 1. I've got students that are in Math 2. I have students that are in Math 3. So I reach the engineering field to every single one of those types of students and have success stories at all those levels. Math 1 is highly recommended to have been completed before going into high school, but we'll work just a little bit harder during those math sections. Cool.
It's the same thing for the arts too. You do not have to have middle school level coursework in order to change or choose an art. You can start at any one of the art genres in your freshman year. And again, I'm going to say for the children in the room, pick the one that you're individually and personally interested in.
Maybe another question. Are you able to take both engineering and computer science? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes.
You want to?
Speaking of, Miss Riley.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Miss Riley. I am super blessed to be the newest STEM department here, and I'm very excited. This year we added Mrs. Newton in the 6th through 8th grade. So some of your kids have had the opportunity to take an intro class essentially this semester. So those of you that encourage your kids to try that, amazing, great job. Those of you who are interested in long-term trajectory for your kids, 35% market upgrowth in technology in the next 10 to 15 years. So if your child doesn't have a clear sense of where they want to go, what they want to do, we desperately need people in technology and data. And so that's why Pine Lake has invested not just in myself, but in all of the other programs that have technology as a focus to really level our kids up. We want to compete with Stanford, people going to Stanford. We want our kids to go to Chapel Hill to the Honors College and get scholarships. We want to level them up if they're interested in technology. So that's why I'm here. So those of you that did not opt to take the introduction course or the course in the middle school, you have the option to take an intro with Miss Newton or myself, 9th grade year. If you've taken the intro course in the 8th grade year, your option is to take the AP course, which is a year-long intensive course. I will be honest that parents and administration, I'm not a big fan of homework. So I still teach the AP level course without homework other than working on projects in their independent time because I want them to be able to take world history AP level if they want to and be able to take my AP course. My kids are still highly successful. We've just designed the course where we don't have to do as much afterwards. We do the majority of it in our class. And I do a lot of flipped classroom stuff in that AP class for the 9th graders because I want them to have the opportunity to level up in their GPA and also level up their opportunity for technology because I feel so passionate about what it does for their long-term trajectory. No matter what career they do, I can promise you they're going to code. This summer, I've been mentoring and coaching students that are studying mathematics in college from Pine Lake Prep, but never coded in R, and that's their freshman year requirement to code in R. So those of you who have kids that are interested in math and science, I really encourage you to contemplate pushing them that route if they have the room in their schedule. In years past, we have done some summer camps to try to level them up. I'm not sure if that will be offered this summer. That's something we're still working on trying to see for those who wanted to do AP but may have opted not to take the tech. Also, parents, I said this in the classroom with your 8th graders, but ladies, I challenge you to step in STEM and technology. There's a huge gap. It actually kind of rose for a few years and is like nosediving again. So ladies, I encourage you to try computer science, try PLTW, step into that STEM gap because you do an amazing job. I'm also honored to be the FRC robotics coach for team sport, which is a really beautiful opportunity if your kids haven't contemplated it, because it's like it's competition for the mind, right? It's like sports, but with robots, which is really amazing. It is a really intensive time commitment for the kids, but what it does for them as humans and bringing the creative business and tech together is absolutely life altering. And we've had kids that have gone really far because of that opportunity. So if you have questions about sport, my kids are going to be here working tonight. I encourage you to ask them questions. We have a lot of parents in this room whose kids are involved in sport, and I'm happy to answer any questions. We will be opening up applications in May for your students to be able to consider sport because we do train over the summer. I think that's it.
Well, there's a 4-year track.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. So we did design a 4-year track, which is amazing. So the kids, just like in the engineering program, they do an AP course freshman year. They do cybersecurity and AI, which is the course that we've built here at Pine Lake, which is amazing. Then they get the opportunity to do the AP CSA course, which is a very rigorous Java-based only, for those of you who are in the tech field, Java-based only curriculum. And then senior year, they do a capstone. My capstone is a little bit different because we're building it here at Pine Lake. They don't have it at very many other schools. So we're actually doing 3 mini projects with a major project. We're also blessed to have 25 people from our community. So if you're in the tech industry and you're interested in sitting on the computer science advisory board or tech board with me, please reach out, because I have got a lot of parents in the lower and middle school who are in the tech field who invest time helping me design the program. So that way it really meets your kids' needs. And I have to brag a little bit. We had 7 kids last year who were in paid internships junior and senior year in the tech field locally. So if you're in the tech field and you have opportunities, please reach out to me because I want to connect our kids with those opportunities moving forward.
Those are good bragging rights.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, we don't need a slide, do we? Oh, wait a minute, this is seminar. I thought it was a example. I thought it was something. No, this is my, this is my favorite. This is my favorite. Okay, I'm so excited that we started this course this year, and that's why I'm saying that, because I think it's key to success for everything else.
I'm Dr. Haroff, and I'm in the unique position here. You've got the easiest choice with my class because all of y'all will be taking it. So I also get to teach all students in here, or parents, all of your students next year. So I teach freshman seminar. I'm here mostly to answer your questions about what this class is that you will all be taking. But the main purpose of this is to help you be successful in high school. So as you're listening to all of these choices, as you're hearing about all of this rigor, if you're starting to get a little bit worried, it's my job to help you with that. So some of the things that you probably would expect from a class like this are study skills, time management, test preparation, stress management, things like that. Right now we're talking about time management in class, how to organize your Google Drive, how to email a teacher. So those are some of the things that we do. But we also
They don't know how to do.
it's yeah. But we also do some, thinking about identity and personal values and goal setting, right? So it's also meant to help students succeed beyond Pine Lake. So we start the class by thinking about what are the core values that are driving each and one of you, every one of you. How do those translate to goals immediately and further on? And then how can we use those goals to help you be successful in high school and do things like manage time effectively, prioritize between all of these different wonderful choices, or when it comes down to studying for a test, where are you putting your energy? How do you have this balance that we're talking about? So we do a whole bunch of stuff in this class. It's really fun. I really enjoy it. I'm super happy to be here and teaching it. And I'll be around if you have other questions about the class. I'm happy to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
We saved the best for last. What can I say? What do you want me to? Or the easiest for last? I don't know. It's one or the other. I'm Coach Green. I teach health and PE mainly to freshmen. This year was the first year that we've split it, similar to how the middle school does it, into a semester. They have a semester with myself and or Dr. Haroff, and then we swap students. I get her half and she gets my half. And then the second year at Pine Lake, you will complete your health and PE requirement because you need 1 full credit in the state of North Carolina to graduate. And most of your students know, and parents, I would think, know how health and PE work. Myself, the lower school PE teacher, and the 2 middle school PE teachers, we work on a rotation where we spend 2 weeks in a classroom doing health-related topics, and then 6 weeks doing physical education activities. And so we do a 8-week rotation. We all work together using the gym, using the turf, using the weight room, using the classroom, using the hallways, using the stairways, using wherever we can find places to move. So after your freshman year, I do offer a couple electives. I teach a semester class of sports psychology, and then we do offer weightlifting as well in the future. So I have a rising freshman. For most of you, I think most of you do know my son is in 8th grade this year. So I'm excited for my colleagues to get their mitts on my kid. And hopefully they can, get him to where he needs to be, because I expect them to, right? No pressure at all. And the little kid in the red sweatshirt, that's mine as well. So, but if you have any questions, I think I'm in 205B, if I read it right. I'll be up there. So thanks.
So the next thing is putting it all together. So you want to talk, Ms. Reeder, about putting it all together?
Sure. I wanted to, so it's sometimes it's overwhelming. You hear a lot of information. There's some choices. This, I think, slide simplifies. You have choices 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are solid and set. Okay. Because like I said, we really recommend that Spanish. Then you get to open up in that fine art area, and then the engineering, computer science, or study hall. But it's really just choosing the levels, and you got a choice in science, but otherwise 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for freshmen is fairly set. And so that should make it a lot easier when you're working on some of the choices of college prep, honors, what fine art do I want to do? Do I want to do an extra program like computer science or engineering? General questions, we're going to float them out.
The last thing is, like I talked about earlier, I kind of wanted to wrap it up with, again, whenever we talk about, oh, he saw dad. I can't compete against that at all. The last thing we kind of talked about is choosing that right path. And what we end up dealing with, and dealing with might not be the best word, addressing in October or September or August is I picked this class and it was too hard. And now I need to change my entire schedule. Well, everything was built based on them selecting that class, and they get in 3 weeks and realize the AP world is too hard. The math is too hard. And they say, I want to go down a level. And then I say, well, that's going to require us to switch 5 of your classes. But I really, really love my friends in the other 4. I know. And that's what's going to make me sad, but that's the only way to make it work. Now your lunch changes. Now your study hall changes. Now this changes. Now this changes. So there is a lot to go into building 700 student schedules across 8 classes. So whenever you then have to change those student schedules across 8 classes, it's rarely ever a 1-for-1. Oh, third period, I can just switch into this class. So again, whenever you are making these selections, and we always talk about it's like going to a restaurant. You go to a restaurant, you order your appetizer, your dinner and dessert. By the time you're halfway through the dinner, you're like, why did I order a dessert? And again, that's really the experience of picking classes in March that you're not going to take until the following August. So it is why we wanted to have this evening tonight. We wanted you to be able to provide and ask teachers questions that teach the class. We wanted you to hear firsthand, and we also wanted you to have those teacher recommendations so you have time to fall back on, because we will start registering on Tuesday, March 28th. So it gives you about 2 weeks to really engage and start locking in and picking those classes. The other thing, we sent an email to 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders about an upcoming international experience. Ms. Field, if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I'll just I'll share this exciting sort of opportunity. We are launching another international trip. On Monday night. We are headed back to Iceland, spring break 2024. We have taken 2 student groups to Iceland previously from Pine Lake. It is life-changing, swimming in the Blue Lagoon, hiking an actual glacier. We tour waterfalls from every angle, behind waterfalls, above waterfalls. Anyway, it is Northern Lights. I could go on, but then I'll start crying because it's that good. So anyway, there is a interest meeting on Monday night on Zoom, just out here in the lobby, if that's what this is called, outside of Mr. Walker's room. 8th graders, there is posters that have little QR codes on them. And if you're interested or just want more information, scan that QR code and it allows you to RSVP to the interest meeting, not to the trip yet. And then you'll at least get reminders. And if we send out any emails or things prior to the meeting on Monday, you would be automatically receiving those emails. So and you can see me if you have questions too. Spots always go very fast. So I just want you all to know, a lot of Pine Lake students may not even know it's an opportunity yet.
If you have any follow-up questions for the departments or the staff members that are here this evening, that would be great.
And if you have any questions for myself or Ms. Reuter, then we will stay here. And again, we'll give the teachers about a minute to get in their designated locations, please.
Yeah, so I think it's answered on the previous slide, but I just want to make sure I. So essentially, the call to recommendation is 3 4 years of Spanish, but you also want to do engineering, you kind of have to go.
There's spots that open up with fine arts. If you go down to get into like rooms.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Let me,
Okay, sorry.
No, no, you're-
Did I
please.
interrupt?
not a bit. Go.
Okay, all right. So, I'd like to take,
There was a question on Zoom with respect to what did the students take sophomore year? That's a great question. A lot of our students sophomore year with the other half of PE are taking a variety of different electives. We have some that are taking creative writing. We have some that will use it as a study hall. We have some that'll take sports psychology, weight training. The list of electives for those semesters really increases sophomore, junior, senior year. I guess I should look at this one. When can students start accruing service hours? They could start over the summer. So over the summer, and our students can do up to 30 hours over the summer, and then 10 during the school year to hit that 40. There was a question about freshman seminar. Freshman seminar is a local requirement that we developed in conjunction with the middle school and with the high school, and recognizing what skill sets our students had, what skill sets that our students need to develop post-COVID. We also wanted, it really is kind of shifting that senior seminar graduation requirement down the freshman year, and making sure that they are hitting on all of the skills that our sophomore, junior, and senior teachers are expecting and looking for. And then whenever our rising sophomores now go to 10th grade, they're going to be able to piggyback on those skills that they learned in freshman seminar. So a lot of positive, a lot of good responses to freshman seminar this year. I believe that's all the questions currently in the chat, but if anyone has any other questions in the chat, I'm going to answer. I'll come back and check it here in a second. Thank you.